Hello and welcome to the Otis Julius Show, episode 3. Today's episode is sponsored by Five and Dime Productions. They're a production company out of Omaha, Nebraska. They specialize in podcast productions. They do commercials and music videos, and they've recently expanded into physical production as well. They're now printing CDs and DVDs. That's Five and Dime Productions. Look them up out of Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. Let's dive into Otis news. Obviously, we got the Chris Webby tour coming up. I'm not going to stop talking about that. I'm so excited. We are less than a month out. I cannot wait to get over there. I recently secured my rehearsal spot. Shout out to Nick. And I'm going to be in Omaha a couple days early to run some rehearsals. Super excited about that. Get the set nice and tight before we get to the first show. If you're an artist, a rapper, in a band, whatever, rehearse before your shows. It's super important. Make sure you know your stuff. The tour is going to be amazing. Chris Webby just dropped that new album. It's rad. With Scott Storch, legendary. I just can't wait to be out there on the road playing these Midwest shows. It's what I'm looking forward to. So I have a new song coming out that I am working on cover art right now. Super excited about it. The song sounds amazing. Like I said, I just heard the first mastered copy of it, and man, it sounds super good. I'm super excited to be sharing this with you guys. New music coming very soon. So merch for tour is getting ordered. Almost everything is ordered. I've got one last order I have to make, and then we're all set. Super excited for that. On a tour like this, I was having a really hard time figuring out what my numbers were going to be. And I settled on, I think I'm bringing right around 300 shirts and hoodies. I hope that's enough. I didn't want to be in a spot where I had like a whole store shoved in my little apartment here in LA. So we'll keep track and let you know if I ordered enough. That's for sure. I ordered my sunglasses. I ordered my sunglasses a while ago. For those who don't know, I pursued a sunglass company or a sunglass endorsement for probably 5 years and never got one. And I was just like, whatever, I'm making my own. So now I own a sunglass company, and we're getting ready to drop the third model. I'll have models 2 and 3 on the road with me. There was a big error in my production team and a huge delay. But what I'm told now by my team is that all the production is completed. The order's been shipped. And so I'm excited to see it and share it with you guys. So, sunglasses on the way. Everything else I think is set. I'm super excited. My new t-shirts that I showed you in the last episode are still available online right now. Go and check those out. If you really want one, I would grab it before tour because, like I said, I'm only bringing a limited number on the road. Super excited about those. Response has been great. I appreciate everybody who has been ordering them. And they're either on my website or you can just message me about it and I'll get you taken care of via like Venmo, Cash App, whatever that looks like for you. Another thing I thought was really cool was I've recently been looking at a bunch of old tour memorabilia that I have and kind of looking to downsize some of my stuff. And I sold an old tour banner and I just think that's super cool. It was a really special tour banner to me, and I brought it out and brought back some cool memories, and it was from the first Pizza Party tour, and that tour really just changed my life, and it was cool to give that piece of memorabilia to a fan that cared about it, and I don't know, it was pretty cool. Let's see here. Anything else news-wise that I need to cover? I don't think so. Tours coming up. Shirts still available. Merch is ordered. New song. All rad things. So today's episode 3. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to run at least 10 episodes. We'll reevaluate, see what happens after episode 10. But on episode 10, I'm building this whole thing up to where I tell a story I've never told before, and I've always wanted to get out there and just share it with you guys. So I'm going to be telling a story. I want to talk a little bit about it. You will be hearing the story how I saved someone's life on tour. What does that look like? You'll have to wait till episode 10 to find out, but it's a cool story. I've always wanted to talk about it and never found the right setting, so I'm creating my own setting. That being said, episode 5, so in the next 2 episodes, I'm going to talk about the time that I was robbed on tour. So episode 5, make sure you tune into that. Hear about how I got robbed on tour and what that looks like. That being said, let's hop into some touring and branding tips. So somebody in the comments of one of my videos asked me to talk about my merchandising routine and how I go about planning merch and designing merch, etc. So I was just like, hey, yeah, that's a good thing to talk about. So that's going to be our branding tip today. And I'm not sure what the exact tip is, but we'll figure it out as we go, as I talk about this a little bit. Merchandising and branding go hand in hand. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that I consistently see out of people out on the road is making their merchandise too much of an advertisement for them. And what I mean by too much of an advertisement for them is people are making just billboards out of shirts. I've seen merch shirts that have like a big QR code on the back or on the shoulder, or like it's just got like the Instagram @ and their handle. And I'm like, man, or like a website. Or I even saw this shirt one time that had like the Spotify and Apple Music and like Amazon logos on it. Like, this is where you can listen to me. And I'm like, yo, this is so horrible. Like, I would never wear that. And if you're an artist that makes that, maybe reconsider. Don't get mad at this, but take this opportunity to learn. People have told me for years how good my merch game is, and I'm always just like, oh, thank you, like that's a very nice compliment or whatever. And as the years go by, I've realized that like actually my merch game actually is really good. And I've played shows with people on tours that were another level higher than me, more noticeable, had a better social following, etc. And my merch was better than all theirs, and they all come and talk to me about it. And so it's just like, yeah, let's share that with people and help everybody level up on their merch. And yeah, don't create billboards. Don't create shirts that like, I don't know, when I see a shirt with like a QR code or an advertisement on it, I think this is like the walk for cancer or something like that, and you get a free t-shirt. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not what this is. Like, I design merch that like fits into my branding. But another thing I also have to remember is that there are so many different types of Otis Julius fans out there, and I got to have something that everybody wants. And so that doesn't mean making a design that only I would wear. It doesn't mean making a design that just really pushes my name out there. And it's just something cool that people would wear. As a matter of fact, my newest merch design, the one I showed you guys last week with the Transformers ripoff or whatever, the Optimus Prime, that's the first Otis Julius shirt that exists that doesn't even say Otis Julius. Like, and you're just like, oh, well, like, how is that promoting you? Like, people are buying a shirt to wear to support me, not to promote me. And if people buy that shirt, like, there's a good chance they're going to remember Otis Julius. And if not, they put gas in my gas tank for the night or whatever that looks like, you know? Like, I really appreciate the support, and I'm really set on making good quality merch that people want to wear. I think that's really important. And coming up with unique and fun designs is really important. I'm always shocked. I ask a question probably once a year, like, name a unique merch design that you've seen at a merch table. And how many times, last time I asked it, I said, no, lighters and rolling paper are not unique. Like, everybody's just like, oh, I can't believe they got lighters or whatever. Like, that's so played out. Like, what is something truly unique? I have my own sunglass line. I'm on Lego minifigure for sale. Occasionally I have custom Lego sets. Like, find what your branding is, create something unique, figure out how to monetize it and sell it. There's this dude out of Omaha who's doing puzzles. I've wanted to do puzzles for probably 4 years, like 3 years. 2 years ago, I saw Doobie on a tour had some puzzles. I was like, yo, that's super rad. Triller out of Omaha is doing puzzles now. I hit him up about making some puzzles for me, and it didn't really make sense the way I wanted it to make sense yet. So I'm not going to do that yet, but in the future, I think I'll try some puzzles. But like, yeah, do something unique, something that's portable, because you got to carry it on the road and figure that out. But yeah, that's branding and design. I keep at least one shirt for myself of every drop, so I just kind of have that little bit of history put away. But most of the stuff I don't wear because it's not something that I would wear. I design a few shirts that I wear because it is something that I would wear. But like, again, keep in mind your fan base, the general public, and who's going to buy a shirt. I have fans buy shirts all the time. I also have people that'll come to a show and think a shirt is hilarious or funny and say, I've never heard of you, I'm excited to see what you're going to do. And they bought the shirt because it's a cool looking shirt. And then I have people come to shows and buy shirts because on the way over, they spilt like an orange juice on themselves in the car or something like that. And they're like, I need a clean shirt. And I'm like, yo, I got you hooked up right here, And so you're providing a t-shirt service. And then the thing that I also constantly think about is like, I'm wanting to at some point transition into opening like an actual clothing line as well. And I have some concepts, some ideas for that. But looking at clothing lines, you think about any brand, whether it's Nike or Polo or even Gucci, whatever brand that you're looking at, those guys are fitting inside their demographic. And yes, their name is on the product a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time their name or their logo is on the product. And then like, there's still no mass advertisement. They're advertising their brand, but it's not like some giant like information seek or something like that. And so just like think about that as you design. And then whenever you're thinking about your unique items that you're going to design, think about how realistic that is as far as ordering and how to get them made, and just make sure stuff makes sense for you, but also make it make sense for the general public. Another thing that I see all the time that personally I hate, and I'm probably going to be stepping on some toes here, and hopefully some people learn, or some people might write me and say like, yo, I understand what you're saying, and this is what works really well for us. And I also understand that some things that I think are really stupid work really well for other people. And if it's working really well for you, keep doing it. Whenever artists will have like one design printed on like 4 or 5 different color t-shirts, like, I think that's ridiculous. And it's like, I don't know. I don't get that outlook, that concept, whatever is, yeah, that's not for me. However, I guess if it's working for you, keep doing it. I'd much rather see you take the money that you're spending on printing the same shirt on different colors and put it into a different design. And I think that's going to up your sales as well, give people another option. And the reality is when you play these shows, the people talk. Like, I've never had a brand new design that I was just like, this is like the one, and I just ordered a ton of it. No, all my first orders are actually pretty small, and then I hit the road and see how fast they sell, what sells out, and then what's going to continue to print. Another thing that I'm going to throw in here real quick is when it comes to merch, one thing that I learned by myself that was like, oh, this is like a really cool problem to have or whatever, is I created what I thought was a pretty good merch setup, and I continued to reorder, continued to rebuy because it continued to sell. And then there was one point where people were coming to my shows and looking at my merch and being like, I have that. You don't have anything new? Okay, let me know next time or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, you have all my merch. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So now every time I tour, I come out with at least one new design to take out on the road for people to buy. That being said, I have one shirt that's been in production the longest. I continue to reprint it because people continue to rebuy it, and it's just a really dope shirt. So you find like your best sellers and you keep bringing that, and then you find your other designs that, you know, after you've had them on a tour or 2 or 3, you kind of phase them in and out. I did these shirts for If I Can Do It, Then You Can Do It. And whenever I picked them up, I was just like, oh no, these are not ever going to sell. These look way worse than they did in my head. I was really nervous about it. And I was actually talking to my wife about like, oh no, like, should I just even make these like $15 or $20 just to start off with and not really make money and just get rid of them, you know? And we tried it, and it was like the first or second night, and that was the top seller, and they sold super fast. I was just like, dang, that's crazy, because like I didn't like it, but the people did. So yeah, you never really know what you have till you try it. I would never try something in a mass bulk order. Do small orders to start with and see what happens, and then find your best sellers and then phase stuff in and out, and always be bringing something new. That's not for everybody. Like I said, it took a while for people to buy all my merch. So get a really good merch setup first, and then learn how to circulate stuff. Yeah, that was a lot. I'm going to have to figure out how to cut that down. But that is my branding tip of the day for merchandising. Somebody asked me to talk about my merch process. There it is. If you have any more specific questions, please hit me up. All right, let's get into the tour tip of the day. Whenever you first start touring, your budget is super small. There's a pretty good chance that you're not making a ton of money, if you're making any money at all. I know my first handful of tours, I didn't make any money. I also know that I kind of went about things opposite as everyone else, and it kind of made sense for me. I don't know if it made sense for me, but I made it make sense. And so, yeah, whenever I first started touring, one of the things I really heavily relied on was being able to crash at like people's houses, on their couch, in their spare bedroom, on their floor, whatever it looks like. You know, I was touring with a backing band at the time, so my tours would have anywhere from 3 to 4 people on them, and we'd be like, yo, you know, can we crash on your couch or whatever? And later on, we'll talk about this a little bit more in episode 5. But we later came to this rule that was just like one person always has to sleep in the van, and then 3 people can sleep inside, and then we'll rotate nights. So like we'll just share van duty or whatever that looks like. And one thing that we decided that we were going to do, because you just never know what you're getting into whenever you're staying on a stranger's couch, and it's so nice for people to open up their houses. And the reality is sometimes these houses are not nice and not clean, and I would say gross, in places that I don't want to stay. And again, the gesture to open up your place is amazing. And to all the people that have let me sleep on their floor, on their couch, in their guest bedrooms, like, thank you so much. Being on the road without a big budget is super difficult, and to have a place where you can lay down for the night and call it home for the night and have a shower is just unbelievably cool. And yeah, staying in hotels for a lot of new acts and a lot of young bands is just not an option. And so my tour tip of the day is, what we would do is, when somebody would offer their house for us to crash at, for us to take a shower, whatever, our response was always like, hey, we don't know if we're going to drive tonight yet or not, but we would love to come take a shower. And so that way we could get to the house and then have an excuse to leave if we show up and it's an absolute disaster. And then you don't have to make anybody feel bad. And then on top of that, chances are, if a stranger's inviting you to stay at their house, they were pretty excited about you being at the show, and they want to hang out and talk a little bit. So there's never really that privacy to talk to the guys about like, yeah, let's get out of here, this place is gross or whatever. And so like, then we could have this plan of action to go in and be like, yeah, we would love to shower. And then you show up, and then typically within like 2 minutes of being inside, you can be like, oh, yeah, we actually got to get some driving done tonight. We're going to try to get as close as we can to the next city. And that way, you're out of there. And nobody feels bad. And it's just a good communication way, a good way to stay safe and, I guess, hygienically clean. I don't know. But yeah, that's my tour tip of the day is always say, yes, I would love to come and shower. We're not sure if we're going to stay or not, but we'll let you know very soon. And that's what's worked really well for us, and a good excuse to get out of places. And it's also, if you've ever done the road dog thing, just staying on couches or whatever, like, I'm sure everybody's got their own way to get out of those situations, but sometimes you feel trapped, and this is a good way to never feel trapped. That being said, let's get into my tour story, which goes in hand with my tour tip. I'm going to tell you about one of the places that I stayed at. So I was on this tour. As always, I'm not going to mention any cities, any tour information. That way nobody can feel like they're being called out or whatever. I have no clue if I'm still connected to this person at all. It was amazing though. We played this show. We had a very, very long drive. We were exhausted. Played this show. The show was not great. And so we played the show. The show was not great. This guy offered for us to stay at his place. We were super excited about it. We were exhausted. We were just like, yes, please. And then it kind of kicked in. We're just like, yeah, we would love to come and shower. We may end up staying. We may end up having to do some driving. We'll let you know when we get there. And so we showed up to this guy's place and go in, and like, it was not it. It was like this punk house. Apparently they used to throw shows in the basement and then quit, but like, anyway, this house was disgusting, and like, yeah, it was not a place to stay at all. And so I went in to go into the bathroom to shower. I took like my little shower bag and everything in there, and the bathroom was even dirtier than the rest of the house. And I was just like, yeah, no, this can't happen. So I walked in, and I didn't really know what to do. I probably should have communicated better, but I just stood in the back. Oh, I got to tell you this first. Once we got there, I was like, hey, can I take a shower or whatever? The guy's like, yeah, but I don't remember if he said his hot water heater was broken or if they don't have a hot water heater. I'm just like, oh, okay. So I go into the bathroom, and it was just not clean. And I look over, and where the sink should be, it's like pitch black. I'm like, what in the world? And I just thought the sink was missing. Like, the sink was out of the countertop, and it was a black, like, down into like the cabinet space. And it was a dark bathroom. The lights were really like dim. And I was like, oh, he doesn't even have a sink. And then like I kind of looked closer, and the sink was like full, like to the brim of dirty black water. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is crazy. We got to get out of here. So I just stood in the bathroom holding my stuff because it was like too dirty to put anything down. And so it's too dirty to put anything down. I'm standing there holding my stuff. And like, I'm like, well, I got to give it like the time that it would take to shower. So like, I just stood there for 10 minutes. And then I came out, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I would imagine, I think I had put my hood on. So you can tell that my hair wasn't wet from the shower or whatever. And then I was just like, yeah, we got to get some driving done today. Like, and Rob or Jeff or somebody was like, oh, well, I'd like to shower before we leave. I was like, you're welcome to if you want to, but I think you'd be better off if we just hit the road. And so he goes in there and then like comes out real quick. I was like, yeah, you know. And so we were touring with a photographer, Slouch, and so we all get in the van and take off. We're just like, holy cow, can you believe that? That's insane. And I was like, yeah, did you see the sink? I thought it was like missing. That's like how dark it was or whatever. And then from the back of the van, I hear Slouch, the photographer, say like, I use the sink, just not a lot. And we were just like, what? He just ran the water to like rinse his toothbrush. I'm just like, what are you doing, man? That's crazy. I'll never forget that. It was super funny. Anytime that I meet up with like the tour, like the old touring band or whatever, we talk about that. So the story of the day is complimentary. The story of the day goes along with the tip of the day, which is, or the touring tip of the day, which is go in and check out the place before you stay there. Super wild, super dirty, and as a matter of fact, whenever I'm doing interviews and stuff like that, and people ask me like, how do you know whenever you've made it, or like, how did you know you made it, or whatever that looks like, my answer is always like, well, I can afford a hotel every night. Like, that's the big thing for me. It's so nice staying in hotels now. And that's not to say we haven't stayed in some amazing places. Some fans had us stay at their houses that had no right letting us stay in their house because it's super cool, super nice, and had some great experiences. And the story I told you was just about a bad experience. So, yeah. All right, let's get into our lyrical breakdown. Today we're going to be covering It Don't Make No Sense off of my album, If I Can Do It, Then You Can Do It. We're going to talk about verse 1 because verse 2 is a feature by Bag of Tricks Cat out of Arizona. I want to say Phoenix. I'm not entirely sure. The way I know that dude is he's connected to Whitney Payton. He's connected to Mega Ran. He's done a lot of really, really cool stuff. He's the only feature on that album, but we're going to cover my verse 1, off of It Don't Make No Sense from my newest album, If I Can Do It, Then You Can Do It. Let's jump into it.
It don't make a teeny tiny itty bit of sense. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It don't make no dang sense. My blue Hyundai got stolen, but I'm not in a Ferrari. Shows keep getting bigger and my bank account is sorry. I just had a crazy year and still ain't got no money. It don't make no sense, but I stay laughing cause it's funny. Laughing all the way to the bank, that's what I'm trying to do. Get a payday loan so I can do the do. I put my everything into this, you know it's true. Dreaming of 6 zeros, but only got a few. Let me tell you right now, I think I got it figured out. Doing my diligence and dealing with a lot of doubt. And I'm really close right now, so for me, giving up don't really make no sense right now.
Alright, so the verse opens up with how my blue Hyundai got stolen, but I'm not in a Ferrari. And that is an instant throwback to my previous album. There's a song on there called Hyundai to Ferrari Dreaming, and it's featuring Mega Ran. And in that song, I talk about, you know, I just want to make a lot of money, so I ain't got to cruise around in my stupid blue Hyundai, flip it, trade it in for a Ferrari. And I released that song, I released that album that same year, maybe that same month. I was on tour, and my wife calls me, and she's just like, hey, I don't know where the car is. And I'm like, yo, I'm busy. I can't tell you where you parked the car. Like, figure it out, you know? Like, I was not as patient and kind as I should have been. And she's like, no, I don't know where the car is at. The car's not here. And I was like, oh, the car's been stolen. Okay. So I released this song talking about my stupid blue Hyundai. And then all of a sudden, my stupid blue Hyundai gets stolen. So that's what I get for complaining about that. And I think it's really funny that my blue Hyundai got stolen and I'm not in a Ferrari. Like, nope, I went and bought a minivan and then that broke down. And now I have another blue Hyundai and I refuse to call it stupid because that is a nice car. I would also really like a Ferrari. So now that I've said positive things about both of those, I got the Hyundai. I really like that car. I would also really like a Ferrari. How my blue Hyundai got stolen, but I'm not in a Ferrari. Shows keep getting bigger, but my bank account is sorry. This album was written late 2023, early 2024. And shows keep getting bigger, but my bank account is sorry. That comes off of 2023 being the most productive, biggest year of touring that I've ever had. And it's just like, yo, these shows keep getting bigger. Like, I was blown away with the growth that I was experiencing at the time. And like at the same time, because it's constantly dumping back into yourself, constantly reinvesting, that's what I was doing. Like, these shows were growing, the merch sales were growing, the ticket sales were growing, my bank account was not growing. So how my blue Hyundai got stolen, but I'm not in a Ferrari. Shows keep getting bigger, but my bank account is sorry. I just had a crazy year, 2023. I just had a crazy year and still ain't got no money. It don't make no sense, but I stay laughing because it's funny. And throwing back is like, yeah, things are crazy. Things are growing financially. I'm sure it's growing, but it's constantly being reinvested back into itself. And, all I can do is enjoy the moment, laugh about it, and find the humor in it. And, I find a lot of people that are not doing nearly as well as I was and talking about, rapping about money and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, it ain't music money. If there actually is any money, it ain't music money. And that's funny to me, too. So it don't make no sense, but I say laughing because it's funny. Laughing all the way to the bank. That's what I'm trying to do. Get a payday loan so I can do the do. Like that concept, that idea of laughing all the way to the bank. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But instead I'm pulling over at the payday loan so I can afford a Mountain Dew is essentially what that line is. And like, really things weren't that tough. Obviously I wasn't getting a payday loan for a Mountain Dew, but all that to say, like, I think that mindset where I was at was my first bank back when I lived in Idaho. My first bank was in what I call like a white trash strip mall. And it's got the bank, the payday loans, the tobacco connection, the liquor store, and the like the no contract cheap mobile phones, like Cricket or whatever brand it was in your local area. And so that's where my first bank was. And so laughing all the way to the bank and then payday loan in the same complex, like, yeah, that's my mindset writing that bar. So laughing all the way to the bank, that's what I'm trying to do. Get a payday loan so I can do the do. Part of this song that I really, really love is we were talking about like ad libs in the studio and like sound effects and stuff like that. And I wanted to put like a cash register drawer sound in about the laughing all the way to the bank. And then I was just like, you know what? It would be great. So no, so we talked about like these ad libs and sound effects to put in. And I was going to put a placeholder knowing that's what I wanted to put in there. So in the mic, I just said, ka-ching. I was like, oh, you know what? That's actually really funny. Let's keep my vocal cash register instead of like putting in the actual sound effects. So we kept that. I think that's a really fun, like little golden hidden nugget in this song. Then we go on to the next line. I put my everything into this. You know it's true. Dreaming of 6 zeros, but only got a few. And that's just me again talking about how like, things have been going pretty good in my career, but like 6 zeros, like I don't got I don't got that money. And then, only got a few zeros. That means $1,000, And so that's just me being open, being real, being like, yeah, you see what I'm doing. You see the production that's happening. You see the growth that's happening. But because I'm continuing to invest, continuing to grow, continuing to dump into this, like the money's not there. And so dreaming of 6 zeros, but only got a few. Let me tell you right now, I think I got this figured out. Doing my diligence and dealing with a lot of doubt. And that's just like, I know I'm continuing to dump back into this, and the reason I'm doing it is because I think I got this figured out. Like, I see this growth happening, and it's cool, man. It's really cool. And, you know, once you get things figured out, you're continually making these little minor adjustments and helping it to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And I still stand by this. I still stand by that bar. I think I got this figured out, doing my diligence and dealing with a lot of doubt. And it's like personal doubt, but also doubt from a ton of people around me. And you know, it's kind of that idea of like some people start to see you succeed and they start to doubt you or like hate on you or whatever. And it's just like, that's a real thing. And it is what it is. I'm dealing with that. And I don't know, man. It's cool. I didn't think I'd ever be in this position. So doing my diligence and dealing with a lot of doubt. Oh, I want to talk about the backing vocals right in there too. If you listen to the backing vocals in there, I sang this cool part, which is like heavily influenced by like early 2000s Nelly. And it's just a fun part for me to be able to throw in here because, you know, I just get to do something that I really enjoy. You hear me in the background like, tell me now, figure it out. And go back and listen to Old Nelly and tell me that's not there. But anyway, I close out the verse with, and I'm really close right now. So for me, giving up don't really make no sense right now, see? And it's just cool because I definitely went through this time in my life where every year I was like, okay, I'm going to quit rapping unless I see some like spectacular growth. This is going to be my last year. And then the end of the year would happen and I would reevaluate everything that I did. And I'm just like, dang, there's some spectacular growth. Okay, I guess I can't quit now. And, you know, same thing probably happened 4 or 5 years in a row. And it's just kind of gotten to the point to where like, man, it's making so much sense to do this. It doesn't make sense to quit it. And that's a really scary spot to be in, but it's also a really cool spot to be in. And I'm very blessed and very grateful for it. That wraps up the song, man. Go listen to it. Bag of Tricks Cat kills his verse. It's better than my verse. So go listen to it. I really like the song. I think it sounds really cool. That being said, man, like, yeah, that's the end of the lyric breakdown. This has been episode 3. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff I'm supposed to say. Tour coming up very soon. New merch, new music. I'm stoked about it. New merch, please check it out. I think that's all I got. Episode 5, talking about the time that I got robbed on tour. Episode 10, talking about the time that I saved somebody's life on tour and what that looks like. I will see you next time. Thank you so much. I'm Otis Julius, and this has been the Otis Julius Show.